Never fails. Welcome back, everybody. Working on our Yukon today in this video, and reason I'm working on it is it developed a miss on us last weekend. We were running around up by Hood River, and we took it because the dogs can fit in their kennel in the back of it. And so anyway, it developed a miss on us, so I'm thinking it's probably got a bad coil pack above one of the spark plugs. And the reason I think that is because the spark plugs and the wires are not super old. I've changed these spark plugs probably about 30,000 miles ago, but I bought a new set of wires just in case. So I'm going to change those out, but as I do, I'll be checking to see if one's bad. So what I'm thinking is one of the coil packs, I'm thinking it's that one. It's all dry. The rest of them have like motor dirt on them, soot and oil and road spray. That one's super dry, so I'm thinking it's been arcing out and getting hot. So we'll see. I'll start pulling them out here and taking a look at them. But anyway, you'll notice I'm outside today. Sun's shining. Been raining here for quite a while, so ground's all soaking wet, but sun's out today. It's a beautiful day, probably 50 some degrees. So we're gonna get at this. I'm just outside because I want to soak up the sun and not be in that dark shop. So we'll get going. I'll pull some of these out and show you what they look like. So anyway, I know it's super exciting, right? So I got my trusty 5/8 socket here. I'm just gonna pull this one first and see. Pull the plug out. There she came. All right, I got a better setup now. I got a swivel, a 5/8 on the ratchet, so maybe I can get down in there. I need a longer extension though. Get my hands away from it. Alrighty. Ouch. Let me show you here what I'm doing. Down there taking that spark plug off. It's like the worst one to get to because that steering column right here is basically right in the way. And the angle of the plug's in the block, so. So that's that plug I just took out. It's not super wet. Definitely doesn't look very good though. So we're just going to replace them all, and I was hoping I could see more, wet, more like gas valve type, to see which one of those isn't working, but keep going here. Nice thing is there's no firing order with these. They're just straight, everything's straight to the plug, so I'll just pull them out and we'll see how they look, the rest of them look, and then I'll gap the new ones and we'll throw them in. Well, I got all the plugs taken out. This one, the first one, the one I was thinking, is definitely the wet one. It's got a bunch of buildup inside there, and the gap seems pretty big. So that's the one I'm guessing. The rest of them are dry. They definitely got a pretty big gap, but I can't remember what the gap is. I got to look that up when I put the new plugs in it and make sure I got the right gap. So anyway, all the wires came apart good, so it wasn't a plug wire, I don't think. They weren't touching anything, rubbing anywhere, so I'll go ahead and put all new ones on it just because. And I think I'll replace that coil. And since it's so dry and everything else around it is not, I'm going to guess that it's probably arcing out on itself and creating heat. So I'll just pop that one out of there, and it's just a plug and a couple of screws. It comes off, pop the new one on, plug it back in, and we'll throw brand new spark plugs all the way around this thing, and we'll see how she runs. Hopefully it runs good after that. So I'll check back with you here in a minute. So here's the old coil that I took out. Here's a brand new one. They look to be identical. So we'll go ahead and throw this one on, and then we'll gap the plugs and start putting plugs back in. Alright, so on this particular car, the spark plug gap is actually on this sticker. So right there, spark plug gap 0.060. So we'll go with that, seeing as how that's the manufacturer's recommended gap. That's probably why they're so big. It's like a really big gap, but I'm used to like the Fords are like a 45 or a 50. So we'll go with a 60, and we'll get them gapped up here. Alright, I got a gap tool here, 0.060. Not sure if the camera's picking that up, but that's the one I want. So this tool will do all sorts of different kinds, but we'll check one of these plugs. So just take that and run it right in there. Yeah, it's pretty big. It almost fits an 80. So that probably doesn't help. So we'll gap these new plugs at 0.60. Usually I found that they're pretty close to what the manufacturer wants if the plug fits the application. So that one's gonna have to be opened up. You just want to take this just carefully until it just fits in. So that's perfect. My gap tools, it'll go in, but it's a little bit stiff, just right. So I use this end. You can bend them down like that. You can bend them down, or you can slide that in there and bend them up to get this tab where your gap tool fits. So that's perfect. I like that. We'll start throwing them in. So these are all the same length. These are the new ones. I'm going to take these covers off. They're like a heat shield for the wire. So I'll take them off the old ones and put them on the new ones. And then it'll still have a nice heat shield on it. So they go on there like that. They just slip over and keeps them from melting. So they're pretty close to the exhaust, the manifold, so better to have a heat shield than not. I've always found it's easiest to put the spark plug in the socket. Stick the spark plug in there. I was going to grab one, but I don't have one out yet. Put the spark plug in the socket, then you can always stick your finger against it if you need to go in and start it in the engine. That way you got something longer to hang on to, and you can get them to turn in there. And sometimes they need the little bit of wiggle that this has and that they'll have in here for the threads to line up. So just a little tip. I've also heard of guys putting like a rubber hose on the end of the spark plug where the wire would clip on, and using that hose to get them started if you got one that's way down and hard to get to. And that works too. I've done that as well. So just little tricks to kind of make it easier. Now I got all the plugs in it, all the wires on it, and the new coil on it. So moment of truth, we'll go fire it up and see if she runs good. See if that took our miss away. It was definitely apparent that it had a miss, so. That sounds way happier. Yeah, she's way happier now. Yeah. We're running just a tad rough. Cold too though, so you can see that's shaking. We'll take it up the road, see what it does. Alright, we'll do a little test drive here just up the road and get it warmed up, see if it cleans up a little bit. Definitely still got a bit of a hesitation, so thinking that other coil, there was one other plug that was kind of odd, thinking that other coil might have something to do with it. Yeah, she's still struggling. I may have to take it down to parts store and see if I can borrow a computer to plug into it and see if that's something else, but that plug was definitely wet, so it wasn't firing right. Hopefully it's not some kind of throttle position or cam position or something, I don't know. There's too many sensors on these newer motors. Crank sensor, I don't know. Anyway, might have the timing just a little bit out. So I don't have a check engine light, so I don't know what it is. But we'll run it up the road here. We'll get it warm and see what it is. Well, that didn't cure the miss, so I think it's probably a sensor that's bad. I needed to tune up anyway. Those plugs look pretty bad, so didn't lose anything by tuning it up. And so we'll go down and plug it into the computer down at the parts house there and see what it is. So I got some things to do here real quick before I do that, and then I'll run down there and kind of see if I can plug it in or whatever and read a code. If it's got a code, it's not, check engine light's not on, so I don't know if it's like a crank sensor or like crank position sensor or something. So it acts like it's out of time just a little maybe. So hopefully it'll tell me, plug a computer into it and it'll tell me what's going on. And then we can just go from there. But anyway, we'll try that. Well, I figured it out. So I didn't go take it down to the parts store. I was gonna do that, and then I thought, well, maybe I'll just throw that coil I took off on the whole head of it. And that spark plug looked a little bit nasty too. It wasn't, I think I had a fouled plug in one, and then the other one had the bad coil on it. So I threw the old coil I took off, was still good, because this thing ran the same after I replaced that new one. And so I put it on the whole ahead of it. Well, now she's smooth and happy again. So I wasn't wrong, I just had it in the wrong spot. I didn't test it or anything. I'm not sure. I guess there's probably a way you can test those, but I know they put out a lot of amperage, so I didn't want to like shock myself or something. Catch me on camera laying there shaking. So anyway, yeah, she's nice and smooth now. Before, you'd come up to a stop sign and it would just start lurching like it was running real bad, and which it was missing, and you could feel it in the power. But now we come up here and I'll stop. Hopefully this guy doesn't shoot at us or nothing. I'll stop. She's just idling just as smooth and purring like a kitten. So we'll go with that, and I think I fixed it. The parts guy said you could order like an MSD ignition set for this. It's all 8 coils, and I might look into that. I don't know. This motor's got 240,000 miles on it. I don't know that it's worth it. It's like $700. So if I start losing coils, start losing them, I'll probably just get all 8 and replace them all. But anyway, I guess that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we succeeded. That's always a good thing. We'll catch you on the next one.